The tragic and entirely preventable death of 28-year-old Katie Donnell is yet another horrifying example of the dangers lurking behind the aggressive marketing and unchecked consumption of highly caffeinated energy drinks. What should have been a routine evening with friends instead turned into a nightmare when Donnell, a seemingly healthy and active young woman, suddenly suffered a fatal heart attack. Her mother, Lori Barnon, has been left shattered, warning others about what she calls harmful and deadly beverages that are widely available, dangerously addictive, and irresponsibly marketed as performance enhancers. The heartbreaking reality is that Donnell's death was not a freak occurrence. It was the entirely foreseeable result of an industry that has long prioritized profits over consumer safety, a lack of regulatory oversight, and a culture that glorifies overconsumption of stimulants with little regard for the devastating consequences. Donnell, a Florida schoolteacher, lived what many would consider an exemplary healthy lifestyle. She was a dedicated gym goer, ate an organic diet, and prided herself on staying physically fit. However, she also developed a habit that has become alarmingly common, using caffeine as fuel, not just for energy, but as a necessity to keep up with the relentless demands of modern life. With a full-time job, a rigorous workout routine, and ongoing studies, she turned to energy drinks and caffeine supplements to keep going. Unbeknownst to her, she was pushing her body toward a breaking point. Her mother later discovered that Donnell consumed up to 3 energy drinks a day, in addition to coffee and pre-workout caffeine supplements. By the time her body collapsed under the strain, it was too late. Her sudden and catastrophic heart attack initially baffled medical professionals. A healthy 28-year-old suffering such an event is highly unusual, prompting doctors to suspect she had been drugged. But the real cause, a lethal cocktail of caffeine and other stimulants, was far more insidious. The excessive intake of energy drinks, known to raise blood pressure and stress the cardiovascular system, had created the perfect conditions for arrhythmia, cardiac arrest, and ultimately, brain damage from prolonged oxygen deprivation. Despite medical intervention, Donnell never regained consciousness, and after 10 days of agonizing uncertainty, her devastated family had to make the harrowing decision to take her off life support. What makes this tragedy even more infuriating is that Donnell's death is not an isolated case. The dangers of excessive caffeine consumption, particularly from energy drinks, have been well documented. Research from the National Library of Medicine confirms that caffeine can cause dangerous spikes in blood pressure and contribute to heart arrhythmias, particularly when consumed in high doses. Some energy drinks contain up to 200 milligrams of caffeine per can, an amount that, when combined with multiple servings and additional sources of caffeine, can easily exceed the 400 milligrams daily limit considered safe by the Mayo Clinic. However, as Donnell's case demonstrates, this so-called safe limit does not account for individual sensitivity, underlying conditions, or the cumulative effects of constant stimulation. The energy drink industry, however, thrives on the reckless promotion of these products as an essential tool for productivity, fitness, and social energy. Flashy marketing campaigns target young adults, gym-goers, students, and even teenagers, exploiting their desire for endurance, mental focus, and a competitive edge. The normalization of excessive caffeine consumption has turned what should be a rare indulgence into a daily dependence. Yet, despite mounting evidence of the risks, including documented cases of heart attacks, strokes, seizures, and even sudden deaths, these products remain widely available with little to no warning about the potential dangers. Regulatory agencies have failed to take meaningful action, allowing energy drink manufacturers to operate with virtually no accountability. Unlike pharmaceuticals, which require extensive testing and approval before being sold to the public, energy drinks are classified as dietary supplements or beverages, allowing them to bypass stringent safety regulations. This legal loophole has enabled manufacturers to pack their products with excessive caffeine and undisclosed stimulant blends while avoiding the scrutiny applied to prescription stimulants that have similar physiological effects. The result is an unregulated market where consumers, many of whom are unaware of the risks, are left to navigate the dangers on their own. The blame, however, does not rest solely on corporations and regulatory failures. A cultural obsession with overwork and productivity has normalized the use of stimulants to fight exhaustion rather than addressing the underlying causes of fatigue. Society has conditioned people to believe that needing an artificial boost is a sign of dedication rather than a warning sign of burnout. This mindset is particularly prevalent in fitness culture, where pre-workout supplements, energy drinks, and other performance-enhancing substances are often viewed as essential tools rather than potential hazards. Donnell, like so many others, fell into this trap, believing that pushing through exhaustion with caffeine was not only acceptable but beneficial. Her mother's grief-driven plea to parents and young people is a stark warning. This is not just a theoretical risk. Lives are being lost. Families are being shattered. No one thinks they will be the next person to collapse from cardiac arrest until it happens. The reality is that many people consuming energy drinks today are unwittingly gambling with their health, unaware that their daily habit could be leading them down the same fatal path. Bar-Anon has called for an outright ban on these drinks, recognizing that voluntary moderation is nearly impossible when addiction is built into the business model. At the very least, stricter regulations, age restrictions, and prominent warning labels should be implemented to prevent more unnecessary deaths. The devastating loss of Katie Donnell should not be just another headline. It should be a turning point. How many more young, seemingly healthy individuals must die before action is taken? How many more grieving families will have to warn the public about the dangers that should have been addressed by policymakers long ago? The energy drink industry continues to operate with impunity, selling highly addictive, dangerously concentrated stimulants with little oversight or consequence. Until meaningful change occurs, more lives will be lost, and more families will be left mourning the irreversible consequences of an entirely preventable tragedy. The question is not if this will happen again, it is when.